What's going on, everybody? It is me, your boy Gilbert.
Me, Harry.
A dead guy.
And no Peaky, because he is a sphincter. He had to go watch the Thunderbolts today instead of watching fucking Andor. He's always got an excuse. No, but it's going to be the three of us today, so we're going to be hanging out here talking about Andor, Season 2, Arc 2, because I kind of like how I do kind of enjoy doing these little, 3-episode arcs, because, yes, you're like we talked about it off air. Harrison, you're right. It is a chunk of time that we have to devote 3 hours to watching them, but you know what? It's also kind of cool. I have not heard the word filler episode uttered in the last 2 weeks, so it's kind of awesome.
That's a good point.
That was what do you mean that was sudden, turd? It's not. There's nothing sudden about it. 2:30 on the dot. We're here. but yeah. So real quick. Speaking of being here, Harrison, what's going on? Glad to have you back after missing last week. I assume you had to watch all 6 hours of Andor to get caught up.
Yes, yes, I did. I spread it over the week. So yeah. But I was happy to do so because from the beginning of it was pretty damn decent, and I've not been let down by an episode so far. So I've got some real positive vibes for the rest of this show.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I think it's going to be it's been just going up and up. I have no doubt that it's going to be continuing to just on that trend. How about you, Dead Guy? Where are you at with this?
I agree. At first, I didn't appreciate, and again, remember how I said I had to watch them as a whole because I didn't watch the third episode. I didn't know they were coming in chunks of 3, so I only watched the first 2, and I do need to fix my rating. I'm appreciating that they took that almost indie film approach with the slow crawl. That the first arc, we're just getting a lot of story catch up and character situation build up, circumstances and things like that. Not a lot of action, nothing too intense until we get to the Disney Rebel group. And then it's progressively, like you said, it's going upward. And I think that the editing style completely changed for this arc. It was a whole different style. There were a lot more cuts. There were a lot more bouncing between the scenes instead of as many wide shots. And I feel like the arc is intensifying, And again, as soon as that BBY3 popped up, I instantly credited Gilbs out loud. I'm like, he was right. He called it. I was like, they're counting down. And I think you're going to be right. The next trilogy, I think we're going to be the year before.
Mm-hmm.
And this is
the next arc will be.
I believe we're going to end at the events of Rogue One. I think that's where it's going to end. And I'm like, I'm kind of excited. So yeah, I'm happy. I appreciate the slow crawl. And now I believe we're reaching the peak. We're going to get maybe not next arc, but the arc after that might be the peak where we're going to see everything kind of come to a head.
I hope so. So we'll get in. Yeah, we'll get into predictions about what we'll see later on by the end of the episode. But I want to talk about this real quick. I like how Patrick said the first 3 were not anything that he would recommend, but the second 3 were top class, which is interesting. I'm like, that kind of says to me that Patrick likes the slow burn, the more chilled out, because these 3 episodes were more like Andor going and being espionage, going undercover kind of stuff. It felt very much more spy thriller than it was like Jason Bourne than it was like Soldier, which is what the first 3 episodes were. Absolutely.
I think it felt kind of Final Fantasy mission, which I don't know, man. The whole French thing, it's giving me Final Fantasy vibes. And I don't know how to explain that. But the whole time I'm watching this, this is feeling very Final Fantasy and I'm liking it. I'm liking the flavor.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and I guess we can. Yeah. So the last week we talked about this. We were all disjointed. So fuck it. Let's do it this way. Disjointed. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the Gormans because we see a lot more of the Gorman planet and their culture, and they are very much French or vaguely German, almost kind of just garment district people.
Yeah, I looked into this with their language because I was like, oh, are they speaking French? Because I thought that'd be a cool thing to do, have different planets speak different languages. They actually have invented a language.
No shit.
Here. Yeah, so it isn't any particular language.
I was hoping they did that.
French accents, at least.
So I'm glad you did that homework. I was hoping they did that. It does sound like French. So you can tell they went with that flavor, that Germanic, French, generic European, if you will.
See if I can find it again.
But that's cool. That's cool that they've got that culture covered now. And they seem to kind of want to, I would say, make something that everybody can relate with in Star Wars universe, if that makes sense. something every culture on Earth can relate with, and be like, oh yeah, they're like us. I see. They're tribes, they do this kind of thing.
I mean,
cool.
Across the Clone Wars and stuff like that, we've seen.
British
mostly
Imperial.
through mostly through like accents and stuff like that, and like the way that people talk. But yeah, we do vaguely see like some cultures that mirror our own. I'm like, so it makes sense to me. I like the comparison of Final Fantasy because that I never thought of it until looking at. I'm like, yeah, I guess kind of.
It does.
This does seem like
it's cool. It's cool.
But I very much the one thing that threw me off was like the weird pigeons. I'm like, that's not Star Wars. That's just a pigeon. And it just because it has a puffed up neck does not make it a fucking alien.
Those are hungry ass pigeons, though, man.
Sometimes you just gotta have a pigeon, man. Like they've built this crazy ass town. They have to do all this stuff, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna fill it out. Just get some pigeons." I ain't doing more about this. Like this, they've got pigeons. They got spiders. Just leave it at that.
Wow, Universal saying the first 3 episodes aside from the Interceptor were unwatchable. We already discussed the goofballs on Yavin, so yeah, those parts were goofy. But I mean, they got better again. Like this episode did a lot better, and it pisses me off that some of the best parts involve this dickbag. I hate Cyril so much. He's just so annoying, and I'm like the fact that they made him like. So his arc is basically that he is, he's working for the Bureau, whatever his old job on Gorman, but he's also working as a double agent for Dedra, as he's kind of like he's supposed to be going undercover as like a double agent kind of thing, figuring out who the agitators are and who the terrorists, like who the rebels are, and then kind of joining them, but also kind of not, like he's reporting back to them.
He's basically there to fan the flame. Like,
yeah, and it's like I think what it's like he's acting a lot, like you can tell that he's pretending to be I'm conflicted, but then I don't know if it feels to me, if I'm just gullible, but it feels like he actually is starting to get conflicted throughout this arc. Like at the beginning he's all gung-ho for it, but then by the end he's like still kind of like it feels like part of it is genuine. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean. Yeah, when it first comes up in this, that there is a moment I think where he's like, oh wow, is he actually getting like that? But from seeing him, it's like, well, he's on Gorman because Dedra is in charge of Gorman. He wouldn't, the most that might happen is he gets moved there with her because, like, they're dating and they want to still be close to each other. But then, as it unravels and you see, oh no, she's actually still on Coruscant. He's there to be her eyes and ears and to kick off this insurgency that she wants. And I love that. One of the reasons I love Cyril is I love that a huge part of what's happening both within the rebellion and within the Empire's control, it's little things. It's small things that are controlling it. So you get a bureaucrat like Cyril to be involved. In the first 3 episodes when he gets reintroduced, and there's that fantastic scene of him saying like, oh, you can find anything here. And I spent a year researching and checking these like logs that didn't add up. And then I found that people have been skimming stuff from us. And it has this wonderful authoritarianism to it. It's like,
dude, yes. Good call.
Yeah, it's like Stalinist Russia. It's that thing of like, we've discovered that this farm is not giving us all of their grain, they're keeping some, and now we're going to wipe them out. It's apparatchiks and everything. It's fantastic.
Why mess with one farm when we can take the entire planet and have all the farms? Like that, it's just easier, cheaper.
Yeah.
We got thousands, hundreds of thousands of troops, droids. Just send them down there, take the planet. It's just easier.
The only thing that threw me off about this stuff is again, I think you guys are right that he's just playing them the long game because he just wants Dedra to like. He wants to, impress his girlfriend. He also wants to impress the ISB, so maybe he can get a higher position in the Empire. But he's also like, there's parts of it where he's talking to his mom. He's like, this place they're not a threat. Like they're just people. Like they don't matter. Like, and I feel like that's genuinely true. Like he probably doesn't even care about these people. He's just doing it because it's a job.
I don't know. I think he knows he's being listened to. I think he's aware. I think he knows because he's been informed where the bugs are going to be anyway. So when he's talking to his mom, I think he's also playing an act. And I don't think he's being, dude, this is why I'm starting to like his character. Hear me out. Because I was like, everybody's like, I hate him. You're like, I hate him. I was like, I don't know. I like him a lot now. I think he's 100% and absolutely loyal to his wife and the Empire. Absolutely. And I think he is playing these people like fools, and I don't think he's gonna change. I don't think he's ever gonna be like, I mean, he might feel bad when a bunch of people die. You get what I'm saying? But it's not going to change his stance, and I don't think he's ever going to turn on his wife.
Well, yeah, but because that's another thing. Is there's a part where Dedra and her boss are talking, and he's like, "Well, Cyril can never know the truth about what's actually going on here." So they, even though that they're keeping him in the loop, kind of, they're not telling him that there's going to be like a genocide or like some kind of shit going down. So I'm willing to bet that that might set him off a bit.
Well,
which
the genocide isn't decided yet. This is why, you know what I mean? This is why he was reporting. Well, I guess I'm skipping ahead a lot there. But when you find out that he's actually reporting to Dedra and her commander, and that this was kind of their idea and that the commander's on board with it, that it's a smart idea. And, dude, they are playing off, which what Harry said, they are playing off Stalinist, even Russia, modern-day Russian politics, propaganda techniques, all these things that these countries do. Our country is doing it. You know what I'm saying? You're basically the people they pay to go make it look like they're having a riot. You get what I'm saying? Or the people they go pay to start shit in a neighborhood. You know, these people aren't legit. They don't believe what they're doing. They were paid by a, particular party to do this thing. They're doing the same tactics here by, well, we'll have a spy in there. We'll let them leak information. We'll let them think that they're winning. And at this whole time, he'll be reporting to us, and we'll fan the flame and let them create their own demise. When they won't stop, stealing, when they won't stop attacking us, this, that, and the other, we'll be forced to take military action. We'll have to take over the whole planet, and it'll make us look like the good guys when we establish order. That is old techniques. That shit's been going on since the 30s, the 20s.
Yeah, I like that too. Where they even say how later on we have Mon Mothma's scene in this. I think it's in the first episode here. They show her going around talking to her old like Republic friends, trying to get votes and stuff. But she talks about how the crime rate is up on Gorman and how the crime rate is up across the galaxy. It's because they're just they're making everybody into criminals. They're turning everything into crimes.
You keep your boot on somebody's neck long enough, and eventually they'll learn how to fight to get you off. They're not going to lay down and die. You keep pressure on people like that enough, and it will explode. They won't take it. And that they're trying to create that. The Empire isn't stupid. They know this. And if they make it look like it's a bunch of terrorists and this, that, and the other doing this shit, the other people on Gorman are going to want the Empire to take some of their rights just so they can feel safe again and live their posh lifestyles and their simple farming lifestyles. And they just want to go back to living the way they were. And the Empire is actually creating this situation from the beginning, but they're going to end up making it look like they're the cure. The thing is, they're just better at it than the Trump administration. Way better at it. And this is, to me, Cyril is probably going to be one of my favorite characters in the show because of these 3 episodes. I was like, holy shit, this dude's kind of badass. Like, You're sitting there thinking he's this, kind of spineless, wussy guy who feels like he's got something to prove. By the end of these 3, you're like, "Whoo, shit."
Well, I think that's the great thing about Cyril, and I remember talking about this in the first season of he is this. He does have this spineless element, like when you see him with his mother, but you see that thing of talking to her, so he's like Mr. Britus, and similar as well to another Chris Barry character. He's like Rimmer. He is someone who has such an inferiority complex, but is so desperate to change that he is completely, like you say, loyal to the Empire because he wants to be somebody, and he's going to go to extreme lengths to do that. That's why he was a cop who abused his power on the planet in the first season, and now there's later on in this arc he mentions this being the greatest day of his life. And it's he wants this power so badly, and it's. I love that he's kind of scary like that. He's a little psychopath,
Yes!
And in the first season, I remember saying that I wouldn't be surprised if he's a proper psychopath, like he's a murderer. He's got like a sort of maybe not quite Dharma, but that
I was
sort
thinking
of
sociopath for sure. He's definitely a sociopath, but you might be right. Okay, he might be willing to kill somebody to get his status, which.
No, Bianca, no, you can't do that. You can't say who's Forrest Whitaker. Forrest Whitaker.
She doesn't know who Saw Gerrera is, so I say it's Forrest Whitaker's character. She's like, "Who's Forrest Whitaker? Who are you?" No, but we will get to Saw Gerrera's character in a minute. But let's keep talking about Cyril, because I'm like, I feel like he's not. Something bad is either going to happen to him or Dedra, and it's going to set the other off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would not be surprised if something bad happens to him, because like Dedra can absolutely survive without Cyril. I think he will be very upset, if something happened to her, but she would not have the same care because she's got that like psychopathic thing of she's got no empathy. Like she just everything is a business transaction. That scene in the first 3 arcs where she threatens his mother is beautiful. I love how controlling it is. She's so scary as a villain.
She's like his mother, almost in a way. She's kind of like a surrogate mother for him. And that's so creepy.
Yeah.
She's better though. Like she just like got 10 times hotter for me when she did that too. I was like, oh, okay.
That's so weird.
I liked that. That's kind of hot. Like she just basically is like, you're going to stop and you're going to pretend and you're going to do this shit. I'm going to make your life fucking hell. You understand? She's just like, yo, gotcha. Loud and clear. Good boy. Yeah, that was beautiful.
Bianca, right, you need to check out some Forrest Whitaker stuff. You need to like go and watch like anything he's in. Yeah, Ghost Dog, The Shield,
Patrick.
The Butler. I don't know. That he plays a character in Phone Booth. Phone Booth's a short movie. It's got Colin Farrell. You can enjoy that.
For Christ's sake, Bianca, he's this guy. He's
Whitaker. You came here to kill me?
Oh, dude. Like, I just want to say that everything. First of all, people get so angry whenever Dave Filoni sticks like Ahsoka or Bo-Katan or whatever in a movie. It's like, oh, another one of his characters. But you know what? When they put goddamn Saw Gerrera in there, nobody says a thing because this dude has been in so many fucking Star Wars things now. Like he was in what's it called? Jedi, not Jedi Survivor, the one before that.
Yeah,
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order. Yeah,
he was in Fallen Order. He was in Rogue One. He's in this. Yep. He's been in Clone Wars, Rebels. Like he's been in so they've included Saw Gerrera in so many things, and every single thing you just see him get more and more unhinged. Like he just gets crazier and crazier.
In Clone Wars, he wasn't. Dude, by the time you get to Rogue One, he's lost his mind.
Yeah, and like you start seeing like him, like I kind of like how you can start seeing him wearing that armor that he wears in the stuff. Like you start seeing his like cybernetics and shit getting added to him. Like eventually he's gonna have a little mask to breathe Rincol or Red Rhydon, whatever the fuck he called it. So that weird gas shit,
Rhydon or something like that.
Whatever it is, the gas that powers this bomb. Which is another thing.
Crazy. It's.
I like this kid. I like how his arc has become. He's become radicalized so fucking hard. Like. It's sad that at first it was just like, he's a pissed off kid. He knew how to make some explosives, and you see him. He's the one who throws the first bomb on Ferrix when they start. It was at Marva's funeral.
They did sell Saw that way though. They always have. They've always made it to where Saw Gerrera, when you're around him, he has a way with people of getting people motivated and yes.
Apocalypse Now.
The horror.
He's very Colonel Kurtz in a way, men love him, and
crawl along a straight razor. The horror. Little inoculated arms all in a pile.
Gotta
such a good movie.
Head.
God, it's been a while since I've seen that movie, but I gotta go back and watch Apocalypse.
That was good. Talking turd. Good call.
Yeah, no, but it's very much like that, and it shows like kind of like it's been mentioned and talked about ever since Rogue One. But yeah, it shows the dark, gritty side of the rebellion, like the part that they don't really like to talk about. And it's like, and then we even have in that movie itself, Mon Mothma even says like, "Oh, he's a terrorist. We've disowned him. We don't like what he does." It's like, yeah, and you kind of see you see a lot of examples of that. Like he threatens this dude, like he says, like, "Hey, basically, you're gonna train my dude how to make a bomb, and you're not going anywhere until I say so." And then even when he makes him the bomb, he's like, "Okay, let's kill the kid."
Yeah, he's gonna fucking kill him.
Yeah, nah. Saw Gerrera, not a good person.
No, but
in a war,
do you want nice guys out there planting fucking daisies, or do you?
Yeah, it's like he's not a good
You
guy,
want
but
bad
is he
people
wrong?
doing bad stuff? Like doing what they're good at. Yeah, it's terrible, but Jesus.
Religus said it has a good point that Saw and Maya Pei are both leaders who totally control their factions. So that's a good point. If Saw dies, his faction entirely would completely break down. Like they would all like start killing each other, trying to be the leader.
I bet they'd become criminals if I had to bet.
Yeah. Okay, I agree to an extent that yes, the rebellion, like when at its start, there's an insurrection. However, when they start making like a formalized government, when Mon Mothma becomes their chancellor and they start creating a form, at that point they're just separatists. Like they're no different than the separatists who fought the Republic.
Terrorists. It's such a tough word to bounce around when you're talking about situations like these, like
I'll absolutely agree that if we're gonna go with that like allegory of them being then he is the Saw Gerrera is absolutely the Osama bin Laden of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah,
he's absolutely the bin Laden.
Yes,
he was trained by the fucking Republic, and then he ended up fighting its fucking what it became.
That's a point. That's a good point. I mean, yeah, it's how all these things go. It's very much it depends on what side you're on from a certain point of view.
Exactly.
No, dude, go back and there's an episode of Clone Wars where they first introduce Saw Gerrera and his sister, like when she dies and she dies in that arc. But it's there because the Republic Andor is officially like neutral. They don't want to join the Separatists, but they also don't want to join the Republic. So what the Republic does is they send Anakin Skywalker, Ahsoka, and Rex to train their fucking forces in like guerrilla warfare.
He's absolutely right.
They train the Taliban
with Jedi tactics, even not just military tactics.
Yeah, with Jedi and like clone tactics. So it's like, dude, they created their fucking their enemy years later. Like Darth Vader fights. Well, not Darth Vader, but the Empire fights Saw Gerrera's forces. And I'm like, Darth Vader is the one who fucking trained Saw Gerrera.
No, fair enough. I was gonna say, well, yeah, you're right, because he ended up becoming Vader, and
so I'm just like
questionable a lot too.
So just saying, like this is some dark shit that they're not afraid to talk about or make like reference to, and I'm like, that's the cool. I think that's kind of that's to the strength of both Rogue One and Andor.
I do like the idea of you're like, okay, Saw, now look, here's the real big move. If you really need to do some shit, kill other kids. It never fails. Just kill the fucking kids, man.
That's how you get shit done.
Kill the not just the men, but the women and the children too.
And the children.
But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to throw that the talking turd. It's hard to throw that term around. But again, like they even gave them AK-47s in the first. Yeah, they're definitely trying to show some stuff like that. But I'm like, but that's my point, is that like before the rebellion becomes like a formalized military with like a fleet and a government and actual like chain of command, they are kind of just terrorist cells.
We got to start somewhere.
Pretty much. At least he got some solid monologues in the show. All right, so we got SP475. He's talking about how Saw Gerrera gets some really solid dialogue. That's true. In arc 3, I think it's the third arc where we end this, where this kid gets fully like radicalized with him. There's some really good dialogue. Like, and he's sitting there like all the time I was watching that. I'm like, dude, you're fucking distracting this kid while he's trying to arm a bomb. Like, do you mind?
I love Forrest Whitaker's performance as Saw Gerrera. I think the unhinged aspect comes out so wonderfully, but also the charismatic side of it, of him giving these speeches. And that man talks about what that bomb is made out of the way I talk about tequila. It's incredible.
Like, I love you.
He also says
so good.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to sniff that bomb. I want to know.
I want to lick your. Never mind.
I do also kind of like the line where he says like, you think I'm insane? Well, I am. You have to be insane to be a revolutionary. I'm like, Jesus, dude. Like, you fucking like. I mean, I guess that's good that that you're crazy, that that you're not going to exist in normal life when the Republic when the new Republic exists. You're not going to be able to see it because of the shit you've done. But it's like
said it. He already admitted that he won't be around to see the new Republic. He knows he's going to be dead before that happens.
But it's just like, I don't know if that makes it. That doesn't make you knowing you're a bad person doesn't make you less of a bad person.
Well, he's just sort of like, I got nothing to lose.
It's like Skarsgård's speech from the first season. You know, where he's like I use the tactics of my enemy to fight back, and I know that I've lost who I am. Like I'm not a good person anymore. But it's like from just a very different point of view. Whereas like Saw's kind of like gone, yeah, I've accepted it. You know, Skarsgård's character is much more like, I'm mad about it, and I hate this about myself, but I've got to accept it, and I've got to live with what I am. Saw's like, living with what I am, I'm partying with what I am. This is great. Like this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be here, huffing bombs, like threatening like kids who look barely older than teenagers.
You know what freaks me out about this whole thing is that of all the people, like, Luthen only trusts a handful of people that know who he is, and Saw Gerrera is one of those fucking people. Like, it's insane. Oh, we got Cognus in here saying Andor season 2 has been pretty good so far. Arc 1 is weaker than the Arc 2. All right, fair enough. I think Arc 1 had a lot more money put into it, and they just wanted you to be impressed by all like the effects and like by the new TIE fighter and shit. But fair enough. Yeah, Arc 2 is definitely. I think that's where it's starting to reach better. I think Arc 3 is going to be even like it's just. I'm telling you, it's going to get better and better and better. Harry wins the most likely to have a spider figure on the. All right, so fuck it. We'll talk about that for a second. The weird Gorman like spider figures that they have, like, I don't know. How did you guys feel about those? Because I personally, I'm like, if I had to go move to Gorman, I'd be like, fuck this. I don't want to be anywhere near this culture. They love spiders.
I told the spiders.
Well, that's creepy in itself, but the thing is I get it. It's like a tourist attraction, and these guys can make that stuff out of twine and cheap metal wire they find, you know what I mean? Like, and sell it. I've been to a lot of places like that, SoCal, a lot of people just make stuff out of the reeds that grow out there.
Oh, like good for you nerds with your spider silk. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, I mean, spiders, not my thing at all. Like, you go fuck yourself with spiders.
Yeah, any culture that has like its like entire thing wrapped up in spiders, I don't want anything to do with you guys. I hate spiders with a passion.
Well, Australia is very sad to hear that.
Yeah.
Dude, Australia can suck a dick. They have spiders that are as big as my hand. They can go suck a big fat one.
Yeah, nah. That if I gotta go to battle with a spider, like, I gotta grab my machete and hope that I come out unscathed.
Like Skull Island, like with all the cryptid monsters and all the big scary thing. That's Australia. That is what that is. Like, they should just call it Kong, Sydney, Australia. Well, no, that's actually not Sydney. Sydney's nice, but everything else around it can suck.
The outback, which is 85% of the entire continent.
Thank you, Patrick. And Cognus as well. Spiders are good little fellas. They eat bugs. They're chill. They're all those.
I'd rather a spider than something that flies.
It does kind of help that I'm from the UK where we don't have dangerous spiders. So, like, basically, I've never had to fear a spider.
Yeah, see, out here we have brown recluses, and if you get bitten by the wrong you get bitten by the wrong kind of spider, you could die.
We got wolf spiders in the Midwest, and in Kentucky, these fuckers eat good. I mean, they get that thing on your windowsill. You're like, you can stay here. I'll move out. Like, you can have the room. Like these spiders get here. They're not poisonous, but it's not like you want to get bit by that thing. It's not like you want to wake up and that thing's crawling on your face in the middle of the night. It's a heart attack. You'll die in bed. Like, yeah. At least I would. Like, I'm terrified of
any of y'all with pet spiders. You all are freaks, and you need to go away.
You can go live in spider
office. These tarantulas.
I don't think I currently have spiders.
Yeah, fuck tarantulas too. Those goddamn gigantic hairy bastards.
I got bugs.
Oh, here, let's see. Oh, okay. I mean, that's not whatever.
Fuck that.
I mean, and having a dead spider on like pinned to a fucking in a box, that's one thing. Whatever.
Are they ever truly dead?
We got a super sticker from
without a soul?
Well, Bianca, I appreciate that. So I feel like I have to do this. Here we go.
You are my brother, Anakin. But I had to dick your missus because she wanted it. And my purple wand was throbbing.
That was yeah, courtesy of our good friend. So, thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I need to find more of those. I need to find more like super chats or whatever for when people do that. But anyway, moving on. So there's one last thing about this arc or this episode I wanted to talk about. Then we'll move on to the next one. But it's Bix's drug abuse. So she's it shows at the beginning of the episode that she's very clearly like still having nightmares about the Dr. Dorst, the one who tortured her. And then also she's having like regrets about like shit that happened during, like they talk about during one of their missions. Apparently they shot an Imperial soldier, like, and he was like 19 years old. He was like a kid. So that's weighing on her. And so, yeah, she's turning to this weird blue, like I hesitate to say Heisenberg blue drops, but that's kind of what she like. That's the first thing that drew to my mind when I saw her like taking this shit. I'm like, so this is like Star Wars meth then.
I mean, you don't take meth to sleep.
Yeah, well, it's more like laudanum. It's like old Victorian ladies, like in Tombstone. There's that chick who's like addicted to laudanum.
Yeah. A little bit of absinthe and laudanum mix. People used to get fucked up back in the day.
Well, whatever. I don't do hard drugs. I stick very much to what I do is very vanilla.
Well, you have an expert. If you look behind me, there's a big book that says drugs. Behind me. She's definitely taking, I think, what would be the equivalent of their heroin. If I had to guess, it would be heroin.
Seems like it's an opioid, that sort of thing. Although, to be fair, what Luthen says about it does kind of remind me of weed. Of like, yeah, the dreams go away, and then when you stop, the dreams come back, and they're worse.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I can't stop.
They come back in greater numbers.
But yeah, no. So that's an awful shame that she's like it sucks, like, again, because it's a real life thing. You know that in somewhere they talk about how there's like spice and how there are drugs in the Star Wars universe.
I think it is a derivative of spice. If I had to guess, their spice for sure,
like liquid spice.
Yeah, I would
like
imagine
spice tincture. You can get it from the spice dispensary.
Yes.
Yep.
The spice shop.
She prefers spice gummies, but they cost a bit more.
Oh boy. All right, so yeah, but like I wonder, did any of that bug any of you guys? I'm sure that there's some. I
found it relatable.
I always bring this dude up. That's a bummer. I'm sorry, dead guy. But yeah, no, I always bring this dude up. But like Star Wars theory, he says like, oh, I'm not gonna do this anymore. I don't, after the essay and the drug abuse, I don't want to fucking. Like, he's gotten all pee-pee hearted about it and doesn't want to review. And I'm sure there's some people who are kind of the same, as after watching certain scenes in this show, they're probably like, you know what, this isn't Star Wars to me. I'm not interested in it. Has anything like that done that to you?
No, not at all. It's just, again, I think we're seeing different aspects of Star Wars. They always hinted at, they always mentioned, it's always been there. I mean, fucking Han Solo was a spice smuggler. He was a drug dealer. Yeah, he was a drug dealer. And worked for them. That's my whole thing. So it's always been there. We're just getting a whole different perspective, and we're getting to see the dirty, gritty, ugly side of what the Empire did, how we got to Star Wars in the first place, and the effects that some of this stuff has on people. Now we're getting to see spice being used on a regular basis because she's suffering from trauma. Yes.
Yeah, I thought of this the other day. Hive of scum and villainy. You will never find a more wretched hive and the hive of scum and villainy, just a bar with a bunch of aliens in it.
Yes.
Racist Obi-Wan.
He was speaking about immigrants that entire time.
Little did we know, Obi-Wan was actually a maggot.
It's all becoming clear now.
Because he wasn't originally, but all those years alone on Tatooine, he got into some weird Facebook groups, and there are all these memes that radicalized him. And it's the same thing that happened to your uncle.
Time in the war, he had PTSD. He's like, fought for this planet.
Started listening to podcasts. Oh, it was over after that.
Yeah, turns out Joe Rogan exists in the Star Wars universe.
They're making all the Womp Rats gay.
Alex Jones. Oh shit, we got Hansen here saying back in the day you could get a sleep medicine even for children containing weed, cocaine, heroin, and some other. Yeah, but back in like the 1800s, Yeah, no, some weird. That was a weird time.
I'd say it was a good time. I mean, if I had my 2 cents on the whole thing, you could just go to a store and buy that shit. Like, give me a bottle of that. If you drink too much, it'll kill you. Shit, I'll take some of that.
We got Universal saying the drug Bix takes is called Vatula. I can't even pronounce that. An anti-anxiety medicine that calmed the user's mind for a 24-hour period. It's not an opioid. Is this like a canon thing, or do they mention this by name? Because I don't remember them saying that. But I'll have to go. Well, maybe it's on Wikipedia. Pretty sure they were drinking spiced liquor at the wedding. Oh yeah, I mean they also had like a weird worm thing that they dropped into that alcohol and it fucking like dissolved. I'm like, what the fuck? What kind of weird drug shit is that? Like, I want to live in the Star Wars universe. I want to see what kind of mushrooms or what kind of like weed they have out there. I'm like, I want to try it.
It's spice, apparently. It's like, that's their big.
I'll do it.
Their big.
Okay,
thing.
So getting into episode 2, real quick, I just want to. We're gonna do a tangent, but so for last arc, we saw a close up a thing of Plo Koon's mask, and then Padme's like helmet from episode 2 when they go undercover.
I would say crown.
And then now we have Queen Amidala's crown right there. Like that's her thing from episode. That's the one from episode. What the fuck is Luthen doing with all these weird artifacts, and where does he get them? Like. Thoughts? I don't know. Anybody?
Think about it though. He's been showing a lot of rebellion and Jedi.
Yeah, like in one episode he had like Sith and Jedi holocrons. He had a kyber crystal showing at one point.
Of like, well, he knew that Naboo was fighting against the Separatists, so I'm just saying, technically they were the Republic's side at that point. So he's showing a lot. See, you can see her crown back there again next to Plo Koon. You're getting a different view. I didn't notice the Queen Amidala thing before, man.
Yeah, so I'm just like, dude, where is he getting all these fucking things? And why does he seem to have a weird obsession with... Also, there's Mandalorian armor right here. Which
maybe he's from Naboo. Maybe he's Nabooian?
I don't know.
How would they say that? Nubian? Isn't that what they say?
Yeah, Nubian. I think that's what they're called, is Nubians. Even though that's a whole other term in our world.
Yeah.
So I imagine... I mean, part of it is you think that because it being sort of rebellion stuff or things connected to the old Jedi Order or the old Republic, that those are things that are going to be sort of sacked. Like you're probably going to have a lot of like that art and those sort of things destroyed as the Empire goes like, we want to tear down these establishments of the old order and replace it with what we have. So then it becomes like prime stuff for Luthen to then find, because now these things have been either thrown into dumpsters or people have sort of squirreled them away somewhere.
True.
Also, with the Naboo side, maybe because Palpatine's from Naboo, there's some element of like he still sees some value in artifacts from that planet because it's where he rose to power.
Yeah, or other people do as well. It's like, ooh, look at this. It's the crown from the Queen when he was the senator. It's like, okay, maybe that.
This is the crown of the Queen that opposed.
Yeah,
Emperor Palpatine, which that's going to even add more value to the certain crowds and certain people. That's what I mean. Like, it seems like he's focused more on his perspective of the war, like what he's collecting. He seems to be collecting more of the same cultures that shared his perspective when they first came into power. He obviously disdains the Empire. He obviously saw it coming. He was probably younger when Palpatine took power and all this shit went down. He was probably around to see the Clone Wars. He probably has angst and hostility towards all this. I bet you he's Nubian. I bet you he's from Naboo. If I had to put money on it.
Like, I'd be super down for that idea that Luthen is from Naboo. I'd also be I want to see a fucking like, I would love to have like a thing where it shows like Luthen actually knew Palpatine on like a first name basis, or like they were friends or some such. I want to see like a 45-minute short about Luthen's life, like what led him to become a fucking radical. Like,
that would be
I
cool.
went to high school with the Emperor. I tell you, he was a nerd.
Some shit like that. Like they both grew up in like high society shit like that, and maybe he knew that Palpatine was a monster from the get-go, and he's like, when he saw him rise to power, he's like, okay, I need to fucking stop this. Like, I mean, I could be down for some stuff that does. I'd be down for it. Yeah, he does dress very Naboo. I could see that. Stormtroopers will be killed by their.
I mean, what's her name? The chick that works for him.
Clea. So that's why I wanted to bring up here.
That's really weird. She has Leia vibes, She gives me serious Leia vibes. And if they should have got her to play young Leia instead of fucking using the CGI, because she even looks like her. She just kind of looks like young Carrie Fisher.
What do you mean?
And to me, I think she's a good Leia replacement for this series. The one connection that she gives me to the original trilogy is this character. I love her, dude. The more I see of her, the more I get to see her personality and how strong and witty she is. And she don't take any fucking shit, even from Luthen. That's her boss. And she still don't take shit from him. She's just like, fuck you. I'm going to tell you how it is. That's what you pay me for. That's my job, is to tell you how it is, not to blow smoke up your ass. And I love that about her, man.
I do kind of like, I do like the scene. And Harrison, I want to ask what you think of it in a second. I do like the scene later on where she's like listening to, I'm going to try to find it, where she's listening to all of the conversations, like from the bugs that they have. And she tells Luthen like, hey, so, the criminal dude, he's gonna like, he's redoing his entire stock. He's like checking it all out. He's gonna find our bug, and they start arguing about it. Like she flat out just like, hey, like he's basically like, it's your fault. You fucking convinced me to put all these bugs out here. We're all fucked. And she just basically snaps back. Is like, no, fuck that, dude. We had to have this. It was good. Like I found all this information for it. I'm like,
she's like, you told me to do it. You asshole. You told me to, and now you're yelling at me for it. She's just like, no, shut up. Pull yourself together.
Yeah, exactly.
Hans, to answer your Hans, Hand of Judgment appeared in Star Wars Allegiance, which you can listen to on this channel. There were a bunch of stormtroopers who were going to be executed essentially, and they defected, but kept their stormtrooper armor and like kind of go around the galaxy like righting wrongs for a little while, and then they hook up with Mara Jade and get involved in that. They're well worth checking out.
Yeah, absolutely. Go check that out. I won't spoil it for you, but it's pretty cool how it ends and how they get out of their troubles. But yeah, no, it's kind of, that's always been my favorite story, to have like the vigilante stormtroopers going around and like doing things their way, but still in the name of the Empire. And then they even, I won't spoil it. They even hook up with some cool characters that you might remember.
Some lit people that you might recognize.
Uh-oh.
Let's see. Let me see what else do I.
Is it the
Star Wars
Bad
A-Team?
You're right. Bad Batch?
We can hear you, but we can't see you. Can you hear us?
I turned my camera off.
Okay.
So, I'm curious. What did you guys think about these scenes with? Like again, we'll talk about them going for the bug later, because that's the third episode. But what do you think of the scenes with Andor going undercover as like the rich douchebag, like on this planet of rich douchebags?
Cool. I thought it was cool.
I thought it was real cool. Like I really like how Andor comes into this. I like the fights that he has with the local resistance there. Like it's quite. We're starting to see more of that thing of Andor and Luthen. They are in the sort of day-to-day detail of being a rebellion, and like what you do to survive in this and how you can get past. And then they're coming up against people who are much more idealized, and it's they're passionate and they want to make a change, and they're not about to listen to someone who's there going like, no, stop, you need to slow down. And I really appreciate that we have those moments. I mean, also potentially suggests to the thing of Andor being a bit more cautious, which we then see later on, especially with his relationship with Bix. About he's starting to get worried about what the cost of everything is. But it was just nice to sort of. I think one of the great things about this is it's an incredibly nuanced representation of a rebellion. It's not, the Star Wars movies are a bit more simple. They're a bit more like, we are good guys, we know we're on the right side, and he's just much more like, actually it's difficult and it's hard and you might die. And that bit where he says, was it, you're going to live at the scene of the crime, was a fantastic point.
That's some perspective for you right there, isn't it? Where he's like, you still have to live here after. There is an after, as basically was the point of that. Like, there'll be an after and you got to deal with it. You got to live with everybody you kill. You got to live with everything that happens from this point on. You got to be here. You're shitting where you eat, and I hope you're prepared for that. Like,
So, I'm curious. So they said he showed how he's built to lead, and then Luthen even says, like, you're thinking like a thief. You need to think like a leader. And it's like, so do you guys? I guess would you agree then that is Andor the leader of the rogue team? Like
I think he
Joe
was.
Jin Urso, K2SO. So he is the leader of that team.
He was.
Andor, he's that guy you know at work. You might even be that guy at work who doesn't want to be a manager, but everyone wishes was the manager.
Okay.
Because when we get to him in Rogue One, he was just basically, I see him as a special ops, black ops guy.
Yeah.
They sent him out to do shitty stuff. He didn't have a real team.
They do call him Captain Cassian though, so he does have rank and he does have like.
But he had a ship, and I think his crew was basically K2, and they would send them two out. He was probably an assassin, a hitman, undercover. So he didn't have a big team until Jen Urso came along.
Yeah,
so
until the end when she like inspires them and he pulls a bunch of guys together.
Yeah, Cassian conceded to her at that point, to her leadership. And at that point changed his character, I think, like his whole character dynamic. Because again, where was Bix in Rogue One? I think I'm right about the Cassian thing. He's got to lose everyone before he actually becomes the Cassian we see in Rogue One. He's free to do whatever he wants now. That's my prediction. I think he's got to lose everybody.
It's a strong prediction because of. So let's talk about this. Patrick mentions that the bellhop that he talks with Cassian has such a good line or good dialogue, and it does. So they talk about the Tarkin massacre, which they say that 16 years prior, which is literally right after Order 66. They mentioned that like, oh well, the people wouldn't let an Imperial transport land. So they all got into the square, unarmed and just like sat there. And they're like, they can't, they're not going to land on us. So what did he do? He fucking fired on unarmed civilians, which I'm like, damn, dude, that's very Tarkin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's kind of like the big thing. Like that's what, and they even talk about like that's what's radicalizing the people is the fact that they're building an armory in like that's gonna do, and what it's gonna do is like cast a shadow across the memorial to the fallen. Which I guess is that symbolically it's kind of like a big FU.
It's quite good of later on when Andor's talking to Luthen, he says they're started too late and they're rushing. And it's that thing of like these guys, their rebellion should have started when that happened. But instead they were like, well, okay, if we do this symbolic apology of like, well, we'll have a memorial and no empire building will ever cast a shadow over it, that'll be fine then. They'll respect that boundary and they'll know they're not to do that. It's like no, they already crossed the boundary. They killed innocent people like they don't care and they were never going to care.
Like you're absolutely right. They should have started the rebellion at that point, but the rich people were just like, oh well, we'll just. It's like, dude, you guys can't ignore that. That is an active that's an act of tyranny. You have to fucking stand up against that.
Do you know how much money I spent on spiders? Like, I got all these spiders. They can't survive a rebellion.
Yeah. I love how they keep on mentioning it's like that clearly violates the charter that they wrote. That clearly violates the laws that they made. It's like, yeah, no, because they're the ones making the laws. They don't care.
I mean, it sound familiar?
Yeah, dude. Like, they don't give a fuck. It's like, and so yeah, it's infuriating because it's like, again, we've talked about it before. It's like we see this happening in our own normal life. But it's also just like, dude, come on, man. How do you people not stand up? And
okay.
Very easy, apparently.
The Empire, the one thing we're not understanding is how big it is. And how intimidating and scary these small worlds like this would have at first. Even having these conversations. Like, what do we do against the Empire? How do we stand against them? Knowing they're driving around with a planet killer. Now that's not available right now, but still they can send an entire fleet and wipe out every living thing on that planet, in a matter of days. So it's scary, for these planets to want to stand up and do these things. So I imagine, it's not easy to just be like, let's fight, when you're a leader and you've got all these people you care about that'll just get annihilated. You know what I'm saying? They would just get annihilated. They wouldn't even hurt the Empire. They wouldn't even notice. And do you send people to their deaths just to prove a point? Which is, I guess, where we're at here.
The Tiananmen Square, the Tiananmen Square defense. Like, let's just go die for no reason.
Clearly,
I know that sounds horrible, but it's like,
so I get it. At first, when this rebellion's sparking up, it's only a few planets, only a few groups know about it. You know, if all these other people knew that there was these bigger groups and people were willing to fight, people would be more on board. But it's making a huge decision to fight the Empire at this point because you know everybody on your planet's gonna die. So it's like, what do we do?
Or, you know, initially before you guys become like a formalized army, like there's not going to be any safety. Like the chances of you getting killed in the initial like years are much higher.
So I get it, you know, but here we're at some passionate people, you know, like these people are already can see what's happening. You know, they're making the predictions. Like we know what's going on. We know what's going to happen.
There's going to be a genocide on Gorman, and it's going to end with like like we talked about it last week as well, that they're making a smear campaign trying to make and it shows that like with Cyril, like his mother is buying into it hook, line, and sinker, being like, oh, the Gormans, they're a bunch of stuck up pieces of crap, fuck them. No, like everyone used to love Gorman shit, but not anymore because fuck them. And it's like, oh boy. Like you've been watching too much Imperial news. turn off Fox News or whatever their version. Turn off Rat News. You've been watching too much Wampa News. But yeah. Let me see here. What other stuff happens? Okay, yeah. Actually, I think this is the episode. This is the episode where they have. Also, speaking of Wampas, yeah, I like this dude in Saw Gerrera's camp, like this big fucking Wookiee looking dude. It's a new kind of alien I don't think we've ever seen before, and I'm all for it. But anyway, yeah, I do like this whole scene. Like we talked about it a minute ago, how like Saw Gerrera is sitting there like going off this whole speech. I think we also learned that in this episode that like the guy who the kid was supposed to be training is actually like an Imperial spy.
Yep.
So the kid is now becomes his new bomb expert and is now like completely in his crew.
They kind of hinted at that when he sat down and was so pushy. He's like, I can't think about all these variations if I just had one. He was very pushy about getting what the target was.
Yeah,
and it's like, Saul, I mean, he's just too smart for that shit, dude. Crazy, yeah, but he's a really smart motherfucker. Like,
I mean, smart and somewhat paranoid.
He knew. He just knew. He lied and gave him the wrong target on purpose just to see how it would play out, and it played out exactly the way he thought it would. You know, I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. I was like, damn, you don't fuck with Saw, dude. Like,
yeah, no, I like how he told him like, oh, he told them we'd be over here, but we'll be parsecs away doing our thing. And it's like, okay, that he's pretty clever, but also then he's the whole time apparently like this planet that they're on, they have to be wearing masks because apparently the gas is so like potent that it makes you fucking like not able to breathe. And he's just sitting there just raw dogging it, like not even giving a shit.
He's barebacking it.
Yeah, straight up, man. And it doesn't seem like he gives a shit, even though the kid, when he takes his mask off, I forget this. I keep calling him the kid. I don't know this dude's name. Like, but no,
yeah. I didn't catch his name. It feels like I never hear anyone's name in this show.
It's Bix's brother, right? That's
just like
that's all brother. We need to know. It's
Yeah, but like when he takes his mask off, he seems to have like a hard time being able to breathe and like being able to do anything. So it's like with Saw is just like, oh, I like it. And so there's one line that I really did enjoy during this when he goes like, I can smell it. And he's like, it's my sister and she loves me. I'm like, dude, you're fucking insane, bro. Like, but I did like that little like reference to the Clone Wars. I'm like, oh damn, even to this day, he still thinks about his sister and how she died in a rebellion, like fighting for a rebellion. And it's like, damn, bro. It's both cool and sad.
Saw started sniffing that drill as soon as he saw it. I love you. I love you so much.
Let me see here. Let me see. We do have a little bit about Luthen. We find out that he's her Bix's like drug supplier, which I guess that's, you know, I guess that makes Wilmon. That's right. That is the boy. That's the kid's name, Wilmon. But yeah, so I don't know. I feel like this is trying to just like drive like a wedge. This would be something they'd use later to drive a wedge between Luthen and Andor. But I'm like, I don't, you know, whatever. She's an adult.
I think Luthen's ideal was to drive a wedge between Bix and Andor.
Oh,
remember later he's like, it would have been more interesting if she didn't tell you about it. Like he's purposely kind of sees what's going on with Bix and wants her out of the picture. just not violently. You can't trust, no offense to anybody out there, but you can't trust a drug addict 100% with, following directions and orders and getting jobs done the way it's supposed to. Like, there's going to be times where they're not themselves.
I mean,
Their
there's
brain
also
is not functioning
Go ahead, Harris,
the way
sorry.
it should. And you know what I mean? So I can see him trying to, this was almost deliberate, which
I think you've got something there. And like, I think Luthen recognizes that Bix is rocked. She's got PTSD, shell shock. She is not in the right space of mind. And I think with that, he's like, there's nothing bad about her, but we can't rely on her to be able to do what we need her to do. And so that he's just like, it'd be easier if she's sedated.
And Cassian clearly his priorities have changed. Now that he's got Bix back, he's more worried about what's going to happen to her and their life together, which is another problem because he's like your best spy soldier. You're supposed to be sending him out on missions, and if he's constantly worried, and I think that's why he did what he did with the rebellion on Gorman. I think he was being lazy, and I think he just wanted to get out of there. Yeah, he saw there was going to be a problem, but he just wanted to get out of there and get back to Bix. And
I didn't think about that. Yeah, he's like everything he's doing is about Bix, isn't it? Like I didn't even think about that before. But yeah, and so Luthen controlling Bix with drugs, and then maybe being like, "Oh well, you can go on a mission. I can trust you to go on a mission by yourself." And fuck Andor, whatever he thinks, because that is the thing that's drawing a wedge between the two of them is that fact that he's treating her like glass, and she doesn't.
Something happened and she got killed.
Yeah, and she even told him like we don't get to say that.
Like you get what I mean? And Luthen's kind of like that. It showed me some of his character that he's just kind of like, I'll use you the way I have to use you. Yeah.
It's kind of like the Heisenberg thing when he kills Jesse's girlfriend to control, like so that way Jesse goes back to being a cook with him. It's like holy shit, dude. Yeah, he's controlling him.
Yeah,
rough. I mean, but he did say in the first we got exactly who this dude is in the first season. He said like he burned his decency for someone else's future. Like he understands that he is not a good person, and that's what has to happen so he can defeat the Empire.
I don't think Luthen ordered that.
Yeah,
I think that was Andor and Bix's little personal. Let's go fucking kill the motherfucker and be done with it. I think that's what it was. Like, let's kill him and be done with it. Maybe that'll help you sleep.
Well, so yeah, in episode 3, I don't know. So on the one hand, like I think it is Lonnie, like well, no, and so yeah, in episode 2, Lonnie does go to him and he says, "Hey, so Deidre is off Axis, like this is this, that, and the other." And and also like they do mention something about Dr. Gorst being like more like important to the Emperor and his work being more important. So like I don't know. I think it's kind of a double whammy there. It's like they like I do feel like it's like them throwing her a bone, like being like, "All right, you want something that's going to make you feel a little better? Here, go kill this guy and get right, basically." But also, I mean, I just really enjoyed that. I don't know about y'all, but I mean, it's the very end of the fucking episode of this whole espionage episode, and it's a very good episode. But here, let me bring that up. But yeah,
we did skip to the end there.
Yeah, it's absolutely the very end of this episode. But I don't even care. Fuck it. Like it's related to what we were talking about, so let's fucking do it. I love this whole scene where she just like, and they don't linger on it. They don't fuck around. Like he doesn't even remember who she is until she says like, "Oh, it'll only feel like forever," and then he's like, "Oh fuck!" Like the look on his face when he realizes what she's gonna do to him. And like who she actually is, it's kind of priceless to me. I'm kind of all for it. Like I don't know how you guys felt watching this, but I'm just like, yeah, you know what, this guy kind of deserves it.
I think it's badass, and I like seeing badass, and like I always enjoy seeing people like get vengeance on people who've abused them somehow.
Me too.
But I think this is a mistake on Bix's part. Whether she was given this as a hit or not, I personally don't think she was. But like the way she did it, shooting that guard on the way out, I think like this is a reckless thing that she's done. And I think most likely for me, I think Luthen's going to use this as an excuse to not have Bix around anymore.
Okay, that's interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Now hear me out. Lonnie knew, and then feeding Andor information and giving him an order or a job is two different fucking things. And I feel like they let them have this information and let them know where dude was going to be because they knew Bix would go fucking kill him. And that Andor was going to be like, whatever you fucking need, babe. Like, yeah, I got you.
Despite the fact that it's a reckless move and it's not Like it would have been, it wouldn't, it yeah. The whole fact that they did this, it was just stupid. Like they
Getting
bombed
her
the fucking
out there doing jobs like this in the state that she's in is going to get her killed. And I believe that's kind of what Luthen wants.
That's
Once
kind of the
she's
point.
like dead and gets murdered doing some kind of job, especially if it's an Imperial that does it, that is it for that's Andor. That is all the motivation Andor will ever need to destroy the Empire at that fucking point. And I think Luthen is well aware of that.
Yeah, and
She's
Luthen
holding him
doesn't
back.
like,
She's going to be a problem. She'll end up dragging us all down eventually. Because, I mean, hear me out. You get so strung out on drugs, it's no torture isn't even needed anymore. Give them a week without it, dangle it in front of their face. They'll tell you everything you need to know just to have a taste of the drug. You know what I'm saying? So she's already compromised and therefore compromising the entire rebellion, to be honest with you. The entire rebellion.
But yeah,
that's my call. That's my call.
I'm like, see, I don't know. He's because there's a part in this scene where, or in this episode where she mentions that Luthen came by and like offered her a job and like told her about, you know, Dr. Gorst and whatnot. And Andor freaks out. He's like, I was just with him. He could have told me about this. Like, God damn it. Why is he not? So yeah, he is fucking with them. And Andor also sees it because he's like, he never does anything without a reason. Like he knows that there was a purpose for this. So I'm like, maybe it's also like, I don't know. It seems like he's playing the long game, but it also seems like a bad idea to just piss him off like this because he knows he's going to react this way.
Yeah. I mean, I think Luthen knew it too. I think he knew once they found out he had a secret conversation. I think he set the whole thing up. I believe it was deliberate from the get-go. He was probably going to give her a job and then change his mind because he's like, you're strung the fuck out. I'm not sending you out alone on a job. But then at that point, he was like already going there with the intentions on driving a wedge between them. So shitty shit, man. It's shitty to do your people that way, but I guess I kind of get it. I kind of understand. I don't know.
Yeah, and again, it shows that he's not above using people. Like when Andor says that I'm not gonna help out the Gormans, or I'm not gonna make the Gormans a terrorist unit or cell. That's when he sends in Cinta and I forget Vel, I believe her name is.
Yep.
Yeah, so he sends in the two other ladies from the fucking bank job, you know, from the heist job that they did, and they make them the new, like, basically he just decides like, fuck it, you know, if you're not going to do it, I'll send in more other people who will, and we get this kind of cool, like, I want to say almost like it is kind of like another heist episode thing, but it's a lot more like contained. It's not as many moving parts, not as big. It's just we crash a car and then we steal all the weapons.
Well, they approached it differently too. We kind of got this Guy Ritchie style heist breakdown scene, which gave it a whole different flavor. We haven't gotten anything like that in Star Wars yet, where you're getting the narration of their plan, and while they're showing you their plan, they're giving you the current events on what's going on during the heist, building up to the heist. I really liked and appreciated that editing style, and again, felt very Final Fantasy. It brought that Final Fantasy feeling right back to me. I'm digging this Gorman thing because I'm finally making that connection. Going back and looking at all the old Final Fantasies, I'm starting to say, holy shit, this is all very Star Wars. And why didn't anybody make any of these connections before? It's magic, science fiction, machinery all mixed together in one world, that's fucking Star Wars, guys. Like, so I felt this whole scene was really fucking cool. I dug the heist scene. It had a whole flavor we've never had in Star Wars before.
And I like how all the while that when this mission is going on, we also have like Dedra listening in from like the ISB, and like Cyril is watching and spying on them, being like, "Oh, they're doing this now. They're doing that now."
Yes,
like it's all very cool to watch, to have it all going on and at the same time. And then meanwhile, we're also jumping back and forth to Luthen. So yeah, we kind of skipped over that in the last episode, but we find out that there's a bug in Skolden, the criminal and the mob boss guy. We find out that there's a bug in his office, or in his treasure room or whatever, in his and so they're just like, fuck, we need to go get this out of there because he's going to be re-inspecting all of his stuff, and you know he's going to find our bug and he's going to know that we're spying on him. So yeah, like this whole mission, I do kind of like this stuff too, where it's like we have Lonnie there, we have Mon Mothma there, like we have a bunch of different people all chilling out at this like Imperial shindig at the fucking criminal dude's house, which that says a lot, right? That's like if the fucking president was chilling out with Al Capone, for fuck's sake.
Listen, this guy, I'm glad that you invited me, because that was something I was going to bring up at the stream. Is this character,
Yeah.
Okay, he doesn't belong in Star Wars. He belongs in like a Guy Ritchie movie as a gangster, yes. But there's some reason this actor is driving me nuts playing this character. Like every time he's on screen, I was like, he does not belong in Star Wars. He needs to have a tattoos on his knuckles and beating the fuck out of some skinny guy with some cool like trip hop playing in the background. That's what needs to be happening. Like he needs to be like an Irish mob leader in some Guy Ritchie movie. Yes, Scottish, whatever, you know. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but this guy's driving me nuts in this show, and I can't wait for it to be over. Like, I'm just like, we just kill this character and get him like off.
What I'm
it's
glad
a personal
about,
thing, I think. I don't think it's anything to do with the writing. It's not bad. It's just the actor. I don't know, man. I just don't feel like he belongs here with some of the other characters.
What I'm very happy about is that they're not focusing too much on him. Like they're
Right.
focusing on him in so much as how he's related to Mon Mothma and Luthen, like how he relates to that. But like they're not focusing on Mon Mothma's daughter or her like wedding or her the thing with her son and like his son and her daughter. I don't care about any of that, and I'm glad that they're not focusing on that. It's just like, yeah, no, that's how they're connected to each other. Done. Move on. That's now we're spying on this dude at his house, and we have to do some espionage shit. It's like I very much appreciate that as like, and we're not focusing too much on him like fucking with Mon Mothma. It's just, again, she's there because she has to be there. She's like a socialite. And Luthen's there because if he's not there, like they're gonna again find his bug. So I'm all for this, and the fact that we go from this, like also like how Lonnie and Clea have this whole thing where, like, she basically tells him like, hey, so basically you're gonna help me out, and if you don't, we're all fucked.
Yes.
And I love how they talk. It's like, no, you're just flirting with me. We're just talking and enjoying the scenery, and we're flirting. That's something your friends will believe. And it's just like, my God, you do this for a living, where you just come up with stories.
Yeah, and he's kind of thick to the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like really slow to catch on to what's going on. So he's just sort of in shock the entire time, trying to catch up with the conversation, and she is just barking very complicated orders at him and speaking to him in this way, like, you were so stupid, just listen. The whole scene was killing me. I was like, all right, this is fucking cool. The dynamics of switching between the two scenes of her freaking out trying to get this thing out and putting on this show versus, of course, the politics start coming up in the conversation, and next thing you know, people are kind of having a hostile conversation with each other. I love the dynamics of this scene too. It was very well put together, because you go from the sewers and the rooftops of people stealing, you know, in a back alley, to the contrast of the high class society at a party showing off all this expensive shit that he has. Exactly. Like you're getting the contrast, and they're both doing the same kind of job. It's like
they're both in very dangerous situations, both doing very like sneaky things. Okay, so you know what? Here, let's I forget. Let me see. I think it's like the very beginning of the party. But yes, indeed, we have the no Jimmy Smits. So let's go ahead and talk about the fact that I think it's just because the actor was busy. I think he had a schedule conflict and he's just not able to make it. So they recast Bail Organa as this dude. I'm like, I don't know. Do we care? Personally, for me, go ahead, Harrison. You can do it. Do it.
Well, like, I mean, I suppose he was in the Obi-Wan show, wasn't he? I just thought it was because he was getting old. like I know, you know, Disney has the de-aging powers that they have, but I was just like, yeah, he's getting on a bit. Doesn't look like.
I refuse to believe that Jimmy Schmitz was busy.
I mean, yeah,
he's making another Sons of Anarchy show.
Come on, he ain't doing anything.
I know what you mean. He's not. It's not like he's like his name is in high demand right now. But maybe he just didn't want to be in a Star Wars movie right now, or maybe he just or he didn't want to show up and be in the chair and get all that shit just for like a 2-second scene where he's literally not even. He's only there to be like, oh yeah, maybe no, Bail Organa's here. Remember?
I don't want to play the character anymore, guys. I'm getting old. Like, you know, I got grandkids, and they're getting ready to have kids, and I don't want to be Bail Organa anymore. And you know, they brought in a good actor. He's a good actor. If he's going to take over the role, I'm okay with it. It's going to happen. You know, like you can't.
I think you're right. It's probably he just didn't want to do it. Like whether he was busy or he had something else that he was like currently with, or he just didn't want to do it. Does it really matter? Because again, it's such a small scene. It barely like makes a difference. He's barely in it. And we all know the character Bail Organa. If the guy looks close enough, I'm like,
he's a good actor. Dude's been on
they're
Demolition
gonna do
Man,
it.
for the love of God.
They did it with but we're gonna see it next year with fucking Ahsoka season 2. They did it with Baylan Skull, so I'm like, we're just gonna have to deal with that at certain points. Like recasting is a thing that happens.
That's right. I was
think they got
modeling
the
my
dude who played
beard
that.
after that guy, man. You know,
I'm pretty sure they got the dude who played the Hound in Game of Thrones.
really?
I believe.
good.
Don't quote me on that.
Norp.
Oh shit! Apparently, according to Universal, now I don't know if this is true, but yeah, he says that Jimmy is in the early stages of Parkinson's. That is why he's not in the show.
That would make sense.
So yeah, maybe it's just that he can't do it anymore. He's like, you know what? I have a fucking actual problem right now. But anyway, so yeah, it sucks. It's one of those things. But you know what? They could have like CGI'd him in there. They could have done like the Luke Skywalker thing where they just CGI'd his face over a different actor. But you know what? At the end of the day, let's just accept it. Like, let's just accept that they recast the dude, and any future stuff we see with Bail Organa, which probably isn't going to be very much, is going to involve this guy. So, moving on. Let me see here.
Weird seeing
him
get old, though.
What would have been cool, and I'd see what would have pissed off a lot of people, but I think would have been cool is if they had a teenage Leia hanging out with him, because this is literally she should have been like 14 maybe at this point, so we could have had a teenage Leia like chilling out with him and just being like, oh well, you know what, this is my my daughter or something, something like that. I'd have been down for that.
Texting somewhere.
Yeah. Had her little fucking droid thing flying around. But yeah, so let me see here. We also have I think I might have skipped over it, or there might have been it might have been the previous scene, but there was one scene that I wanted to talk about with Mon Mothma where she's in like the Senate building and having to listen to all the people give like this like oath of fucking like allegiance.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was curious, Harrison. Is that how you guys like watching that scene? Is that how you guys feel knowing that we all say the Pledge of Allegiance in schools?
Yes. Yes. It's a bit weird, but the British, have their own stuff. I mean, you saw what happened when royals died a couple of years ago. The entire country lost its mind. So
through fucking Scotland for like a week.
Man,
it's not funny. I shouldn't laugh at that. I'm sorry for laughing.
I think it's funny.
I think it's funny that Americans were putting it on our TV. Why do we care?
So, but yeah, no. I think certainly personally, I find all sort of oaths of allegiance to be just like horseshit. So I was just like, okay, but and I respected Mon Mothma for keeping quite a bit of it. It reminds me about when they did prayers at like the school services sometimes that happened to the church, and I did not close my eyes because I was a rebel.
I will not bow my head in prayer. Fuck you and your thoughts of goodwill towards other men.
Let's bow our heads in Game Boy Advance.
But, I mean, I'm the same way when a family member dies and they say the rosary or like the Hail Marys and shit. I don't say anything. I just sit there and I'm just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Freaking hand gesture and all that shit. But yeah, no, it's like at the same time though, I'm just like, I just wondered. I was watching that scene, just being like, I wonder, is that how the rest of the world sees America? Because we do that, and that's a thing. We make our children do that.
Way worse than that, I imagine. Way worse than that.
Anyway, so back to the scene. Let me see here. I wanted to talk about like the Gormans, like when they have this scene. Like the only reason that the scene fucks up is because one of them has a blaster. When like they tell him like, hey, only we're gonna have blasters. The rest of you are just here to load the shit and do what we say. And like the kid who like speaks up and is all like thinking he's hot shit. He keeps a blaster and ends up like, I don't know. I feel like it's just one of those things. It feels like it was they killed off this person just to be fucking like edgy, or just to create fucking like I don't know. I
know what you mean. I
know like Cynthia's death was stupid.
It feels contrived. The whole thing, especially given that the guy who shows up is someone that we know is sympathetic to what they're doing because of what he did in that town hall. Yeah, we know he's really anti-Empire. And like, yeah, the kid was right to try and stop him from interfering. It's like you don't want people knowing who shouldn't know. The more people who do know, the easier it is to get information out of people. But But yeah, then pulling the blaster, the whole like there's a struggle over a gun, and then someone gets shot, and it wasn't either of the guys who were struggling. It's some bystander, and it has emotional weight to it. Feels a bit cliche and kind of lazy. And you know, before they even show you it, you're like, they shot her girlfriend. We all know they shot her girlfriend. It's it's whatever. I think like certainly in this arc, at least, it feels like one of the core things it's doing. It's about all the different ways that doing anything like this brings unmeasurable stress to your life. And you have these like different things of like, these guys are incredibly stressed because they are in the middle of the action and they actually lose somebody there. You go to Mon Mothma, who is having to balance like all her different parts of her life. You know, we saw that she had to have a nightmare through a wedding, which, as we all know, mothers at weddings are already stressed out enough. But then she's also, you know, like, you know, her boss from the rebellion or partner from the rebellion shows up unannounced. There's a guy who's given her money and is like suggesting that maybe he's going to tell people about it.
Oh, he died, by the way. We have not seen him. He absolutely died, by the way.
Yeah. By the chick who just got shot. Which was something I loved that bit. So I really appreciate that. It then goes into this stress of losing people. And then, and so whilst I think it's a bit contrived, I think what happens afterwards, like the speech that she gives while they're in the transporter on the way back, I think is kind of poignant and is very much about, you know, like this is it. This is the nightmare of doing what you're doing. And this is what you're going to have to deal with, because you're going to have to deal with this sort of stuff. Not only have you killed this great person, my friend, and, you know, my lover and whatever, but you're going to kill other people, or other people are going to die on your watch.
I love that. I love that whole thing of like, you think you have the right to cry. It's like, dude, you're going to be living with this forever. Like, you're going to have to deal with this. And like, don't you dare cry, basically. Like you're like, this has just gotten started for you. And I'm like, I think that's a better take on it than being like, she was worth 1 million of you. I should kill you right now, but you're not. Like, she didn't do that. She's like, you know what? No, take this and use it and become a fucking better rebel. And I'm like, that's kind of like cool. I really like how Vel is like, she's actually one of the rebellion, like the leaders the rebellion really needs.
Patrick made me think of something with his comment. He said that's part of why Cassian thought the operation wasn't worth doing. And hear me out. Imagine if Luthen had talked Cassian into doing it, and then he turned around and did it, and Cyril saw him, or somebody said Andor, and he made the connection.
Yeah.
I didn't.
So it was kind of fate, if not the Force, that kind of stepped in and arranged things the way it arranged them, to where Cassian didn't want to do the job because he said some good reasons. Yes, he told Luthen some good reasons, but the real reason was Biggs. His real reason was, I need to get back to Biggs. He didn't really care about.
Now, Dead Guy, I absolutely agree with you, because yes, Star Wars is Star Wars and the Force controls everything, but it's also but I love Harrison's like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with you. You're right, but I hate it.
I wish I hadn't said it, if that helps.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Like I said, I think you're right. Within the universe of Star Wars, that absolutely makes sense and it fits with what we know. I was like, oh, damn it. I was enjoying this until the Force got involved.
I'm sorry. I feel bad.
Fucking Force coming in here and ruining everything.
It wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
Just wait till we get to Rogue One, Harrison. I'm one with the Force, and the Force is with me.
To be fair, I actually love that bit of Rogue One. I think that's tight as shit. I fucking love that.
Oh, those two, man. Those two were touching.
There's one thing I wanted to talk about that I really liked during this. And I think it might just been a throwaway line that meant nothing, but I did catch it. So that they were mentioning that, like, oh, hey, you know, when the dude Skull, and he's like, hey, come here, Mon. Let me go show off my trophy room and all my stuff. And she's like, she mentions just like offhand that she was having a nice conversation with her old history teacher, and she's talking about Luthen. And I'm like, oh, dude, that's kind of so was he like, again, her professor or something in college or some such? I'm like, I like the idea that they had like that kind of connection.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't take that so much as that he was literally her old teacher, but
yeah, I think she just made something up quickly.
Well, or like, you know, he's into antiques, so the idea of like he's telling her all about the history of these items and things because he clearly must know a fair amount of history connected to all the things he deals.
I guess. I look at him. He's like, yeah, he's kind of older. He's at least like 15 some odd years older than she is. I'm like, I could believe that he's a teacher.
We're getting into more of the Star Wars stuff I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of everyone knowing each other.
Fair enough. It's a universe, not a
man.
Yeah, it's a galaxy, not a neighborhood. But apparently, it is a neighborhood when you have light speed travel.
I once met a young man while I was buying antiques. He was called Greedo. It's just like not having this.
Well, apparently everyone does know each other because we've completely glossed over I think what is probably the best part of this episode, and it's the fact that Krennic is there and he's fucking like on the one hand, then he kind of debates with Mon Mothma about like the merits of like I think it's like they're talking about like an ancient civilization that got wiped out or something like that, and they're just like, oh well, you know what, big deal. It's just they're a bunch of savages. Like, oh well, they weren't savage, they were defending their home or so. Like she argues basically that there's two sides to every story, and he even kind of just like writes it off. He's like, oh well, your terrorist is my rebel, something like that. Oh, okay. And
yeah,
like, I kind of like this stuff.
They're talking about a battle. Like he mentions a battle. He says like, we learned about this battle like in our training or whatever. And then she says, from what I know, it wasn't really a battle. It was just a massacre. Like when you guys learn about anything that happened in the Old West and Indians and such.
Yeah, about manifesting destiny. It's like, we learned about the nice that we brought culture to the land. It's like, that's one way of looking at it.
To be fair, I've realized I have not a leg to stand on with that. Like I come from Britain. I do not have a single leg to stand on.
Yeah, the real Indians
Britain's history in India or in Africa or in the Caribbean or Australia. So.
Yeah, everybody's got problems. Everyone's been shitty everywhere. Let's be honest.
But it'd be Magma. Yeah, no. Make America Great Britain again. That's Magma.
Magma. Make America Great Britain. I like that. So yeah, but they have this whole argument basically about like how history is written by the victors, and you kind of start seeing. I mean, honestly, if I were in that room, I'd be like, okay, you're someone to what? You're someone who needs to go on the KGB list.
Well, that's what got me is she was being awfully argumentative and arguing points considering her position. She should have been more laughy, jokey, going along with it.
Yeah.
In this, but when somebody's being that ridiculous, I get it. I kind of was like on her side a little bit, like, yeah, fuck him. He's an asshole. We all know who Krennic is. He's a fucking dick. You know what I mean? Like he's a pompous, fucking arrogant dick. Like so. It's. I'm glad she argued. Look at the face too. You that's a good face you got.
What I like about this show though is that around when he's around Tarkin, he is absolutely like a very small. Like he's around Vader or Tarkin or like someone who's on his level or above. He is a very small man. But when he's around people who he considers to be beneath him, he's all fucking like, oh well, I'm just the best in the room, and you all have to just basically suck my imperial dick. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. I kind of like how this version of Krennic is. He seems a lot like he acts like he's a lot tougher when he's around people who do not outrank him.
Well, he's mouthy, and we even got that much from him in Rogue One, that he's not afraid to speak his mind, be sarcastic, speak down to people. He's very Tarkin that way. But yeah, he spoke up to Tarkin too. He talked shit to him. So the only person who kind of put him in check was Vader, because it's like, I'll choke you from 20 feet away, you tiny little man, shut the fuck up. Like that's kind of how that went down. But he tried even then. He's like, he was pushy with Vader, and you don't do that, obviously. So I get it. He's playing the role with these kind of people. Of course he's above them, like rank and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like he's above them.
The ISB guys for sure, but
he's got ISB guys there, so it's like he's got backup, so he could pretty much say anything he fucking wants and be anywhere.
Look at all those pips on his fucking chest. He could fucking say whatever the hell he damn well pleases. He has a cape. Like if the imperial officer has a cape, that's how you know shit is serious.
He's making a 6-digit salary for sure.
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely pulling down 6 digits in credits.
You keep pausing it when he's looking ridiculous.
Let's not argue about teachers. I was just making a comment about it. Let's move on. Let me see here. I don't know. I mean, we pretty much talked about everything that does happen in this episode because it really just focuses on two aspects on the fucking on the heist, and then also on this like them trying to get the bug, and then it ends with Gore or Dr. Gorse getting murdered. So I'm like, I would say not a lot happens in this episode, but it's probably the best one just based off the dialogue and like the kind of tense situations, like the fact that that all the while like they're arguing and getting closer and closer to the fucking Clea and fucking Lonnie, and that in the end Lonnie actually starts playing along and actually like help. He's like, oh well, it's a book. You have to. The blind this blind race made it to like how he actually starts getting in on the charade. Like I'm really into that, and I think this makes it the best episode of the arc. So probably the best episode of the series so far. Like I don't know about you guys. How do you feel? Where are you guys at on that?
Yeah,
you might be right. It's difficult to try and weigh these up as individual episodes. It's part of their little 3-arc structure is that they do kind of feel like a complete whole. Yeah, probably. Yeah, but they probably say you're right because the tension is kept up brilliantly, like throughout this, going between these different scenes and different people's perspectives, but it never lets off. You're always still caring about what's happening and what you're going to cut to next. I think it does feel a bit like we have very little Andor in this episode. Like Cassian's not around. So, often it happens, with TV shows where your lead character isn't necessarily the focal point all the time. They're more sort of who you follow through these events. But
honestly, sorry, I would argue. No. Go. I'm sorry. I'm kind of cutting you off on that one. But
no. Please go ahead.
What I would argue is that even though the show is called Andor, I would say he's only one of the main characters. Like, I would say that the main characters are Andor, Mon, Luthen, Dedra, and Cyril. Like, those are your 5 main characters, and like the rest are just side characters. Like everybody else, like Lonnie's a side character, Bix is a side character. But yeah, and the reason being is because like if you watch the first season again, it focuses very much on those 5 people, and the rest of them are just kind of like around them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, even though it's called Andor, I would definitely say that there are 5 main characters that like, and what I like about this season so far is that they're mixing and matching them more out. Like Lonnie and Luthen are chilling out. Like these two have met each other multiple times, like all secretive and like cloak and dagger. Now they're sitting there having to pretend that they've never met each other and they don't know who each other is. Like we have Mon on the other side, right over there, same thing. We got like Clea there. We get during the wedding, same thing. We had Luthen, Clea, Vel. Like we had just a bunch of people like mixing and matching with each other who have never like up to this point have never like met or seen each other, or at least very besides being behind closed doors. There we go. Fuck. So many words.
I agree with you. I was just giggling at what Talking Turd said. I don't care what anyone says. Mon Mothma was the worst of all the original 77 Star Wars figures.
Yes.
I'll say, I mean, you can say that, but I have one of those old Star Wars figures. It's like the Hoth fucking rebel trooper, like the rebel soldier, and it is garbage. It's just the worst.
I did terrible things with my Star Wars figures when I got G.I. Joes. I had no idea they'd be worth money. I mean,
did you melt them?
They had soldering iron holes with red fingernail polish where they were all the dead bodies on the battlefield. Because, I mean,
that's dope.
They moved like this. I could pose my G.I. Joes into really complex fighting poses and shit, like.
Yeah, the more points of articulation, dude. That's what makes the fucking toys more fun.
Flying jump kicks and shit like that, and like my Star Wars guys just didn't measure up, so they became like the battlefield damage and body parts laying around. Like it was very creative, but man, wasted a lot of money apparently.
She came with a stick. Well, it's her it's her staff. She's like the chancellor. She's got a. I don't know.
She came with a stick.
Oh God, G.I. Joe was a superior figure. Okay, well, perhaps, but I mean, then we got Star Wars Black figures, like the Black Series figures, because those are fucking badass. I mean, I
have a couple of those. Of those. Jen Erso, as a matter of fact, is one of those.
Nice. I got a Jenna Solo, and then I have a Revan and a Malak.
Cool.
And then I got a couple of the Bad Batch, but yeah, I got a few of those. Like but the old like Kenner line of toys was like goofy. They looked bad. It was the 70s and 80s. Like that's what you had for them back then. But it's like, dude, I can't believe anyone ever thought these were a good idea.
They were revolutionary, man. Like, because G.I. Joe, did that, but it kind of stole their idea of miniaturizing them down. They were small enough you could take them to school. You know, the 12-inch action figures. Like
shit! Oh, you're talking about the tiny GI. I thought we were talking about the big ones, like the Barbies. Like the Barbie-sized ones. You know what I'm talking about?
Not that old.
Okay, well, okay, relax.
I may look it.
But yeah, no, I love those ones. Those crazy fucking like they had like the rubber band in them that you allowed them to like turn.
Yeah, I would take the screw out of the back and like swap out body parts and make my own custom GI Joes and shit later. Like I wasn't like I guess I was Sid. I was Sid to my toys, but I really loved them.
Didn't have Black Series back in my day. We had rotary phones and dial-up internet.
Newspapers cost a dime. It was only a nickel to make a phone call. Apples were free. We had to pay for pornography.
I was going to make a horrible racist joke there, but let's not do that. Yeah, it's like back in my day, and yeah, no.
Pepperidge Farm.
Fill in the blanks.
Do you remember when women couldn't vote? Pepperidge Farm, remember? No, but seriously though. I actually resented having to buy Mon Mothma to complete the set. You didn't have to complete shit. You could have just bought Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader and called it a day, but no, you had to fill up the stupid little fucking Millennium Falcon with all the little goddamn slots in it, didn't you?
Yeah.
You fucking 80s nerds.
Yeah, I did. I had the Ewok Village.
Feeling with Harry American Joe. We had real soldiers back then. Damn, the real American hero.
Well, we didn't really have G.I. Joe in the same way. We had Action Man. And Action Man stayed.
I know Action Man. And
Dr. X.
Oh, you didn't have. There wasn't G.I. Jock. A French G.I. Joe.
Only in that episode of That 70s Show.
Yeah, no, I thought that was funny. But yeah, no, Action Man. I just Googled it. I Googled British G.I. Joe, and it instantly came up. Action Man is the figure that launched in Britain in 1966.
Yeah. Action Man, the greatest hero of them all.
He did everything. Like you could get him with all the different outfits. Astronaut, Action Man. I'm familiar with Action Man.
See, ones with parachutes and bungee cords.
Yeah,
I remember in the 2000s there was a cartoon that they made called Action Man. And basically he was an extreme sports dude, and that's what I can do anything. I'm a biker. I'm also a fucking parachuter. I'm a base jumper, and he does all this. And he's apparently a superhero to like using like extreme sports to beat villains. And it's weird. It was that kind of sounds like it.
yeah. There was definitely a rollerblading Action Man set, and there was a lot of Action Man stuff. His villains were interesting. Dr. X was cool.
Well, see, now Action Man was the proper size for Barbie, yes?
Yeah.
So, like, Action Man could date Barbie, and they'd be, like, the proper size action figures.
Yeah, which did happen once when I was playing with my grandmother's neighbor, and she didn't like the fact that Luke Skywalker was really small, and was too small compared to Barbie. I'm just saying, he can get into tight spaces.
Yeah, he used to bullseye womp rats. You think he can't get in there?
Stay on target.
Stay on target. Luke, it switched off your targeting computer. What's wrong?
Oh my god! How did we get here?
So yeah, I don't know. So back on topic, we'll end it with we're pretty much at the end of our episode, so we'll end it with. So what did you think of these 3 episodes as an arc? Like, where do you rate these as? I don't know. 3 Amidala crowns, Harrison, or at a 5 Amidala crowns. Where do you? Sorry, I don't know. I said 3. At a 5 Amidala crowns, where do you rate this this episode arc?
Do you know what? I never do this. I'm always sticking around the same numbers, so I'm going to give it 5 because I think this is really good. I'm so happy to have Andor back because I think it is the best of the Star Wars shows that we're getting, at least on Disney Plus, and I'm all about it.
Very nice, and I think I'm right there with you. Like, it's just like what you mentioned this at the very beginning of the stream is that you're glad that the quality has just continued from season 1 to season 2, and it's just like I would say it's improved. It's just it is Whereas other shows have been like, oh, I can't wait for the next season. It was okay. It's not as good as the first season. No, this one did it so much better. Like, here, actually, I'm gonna have to unplug my camera because it's overheating. So I'm gonna have to switch to my webcam on my computer.
So, do you use a external full camera, I assume?
Yeah. So I got a new camera. It's a little like streaming thing.
Ooh.
And I even got a dummy battery for it to try to help with the overheating thing. But yeah, plugging it into my computer causes it to heat up, and then just constantly having it on. So yeah, like I'm happy though that it went for an hour and a half. That's not bad. That means that with a full charge, I'll be able to film like panels and shit at Comic-Cons with no issue. Anyway, so yeah, but guys, I think I'm right there with you, Harrison. Like 5 out of 5 for this arc. Dead Guy, where are you at?
Well, the last time it was out of 10. So now I have to take the whole arc, which I'm a little jealous that Harry got to take it in that way. Like he got to take in all of them, which that'd be a better rating, like a more honest rating, I think. 5 out of 5. Absolutely. What I was unhappy, my minor gripes about the first arc, they completely negated. Like none of that was even happening. And again, with Harry, the tension just kept building. Even if the scenario didn't seem like a tense scenario, you're at a damn party, somehow the tension kept building. So by the time you get to this last episode, I was literally like, yes, I was kind of like excited and wanting more. So I'm pretty happy. And I some of our predictions got smashed that we talked about on the original. So it's good to see, some of those predictions we had come to a close, and now we kind of have a new direction. To see Cyril stand up against the ISB when they first came in there, knowing that he has to put on that show in front of everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like he has to pretend that he has a problem with it.
It's so much better. 5 out of 5 spider figurines.
That should have been it. Yes. Okay. I like that. So yes, definitely 5 out of 5 spider figurines, if that's what they're going with as a whole right now. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been so good. If you haven't watched it, first of all, if you haven't watched it, you've been spoiled so royally so far. You just need to go. I don't know what you're doing. You should go watch it, and go enjoy it. It's great. And meanwhile, I'm also going to go enjoy Thunderbolts and then Last of Us season 2 today or tomorrow. So go watch all of these things because they're wonderful. And I think that's where we're going to wrap it up. So thank you guys all so much for being here. Patrick, the Talking Turd, Universal. We had Hans in here. We had let me see. I don't know. We had a number of people actually, names that I don't recognize. Religious. I don't know. Some other people. Yeah, SP7475, like Zane we had in here. So yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you guys all for being here. Thank you for watching. Make sure you check us out next week because we're going to be doing Arc 3 of Andor, and it'll be BBY 2. We're getting so close to that, to them being at the Battle of Yavin. Well, maybe not. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. We're getting close to them being at Yavin, period. Anyway, we will be keeping on it until it ends, and then I don't know what we're going to do after that. Maybe we'll do some Revenge of the Sith for its 25th anniversary, which is coming up on the 19th. And so yeah, I don't know, guys. Thank you guys all for being here. Harrison, you got anything you want to say before we leave? And then Dead Guy, we'll get to you in a second.
Nah. I'm good, guys. Have a good time.
Okay. How about you, Dead Guy?
He's like, nah. Got a few things coming up. Predator versus Black Panther issue 2 is in production. Everybody's getting their lines recorded. That's going to be in the next couple weeks. Aliens versus Avengers number 2, Aliens chapter 5 number 1. It's all in production. So in the next few weeks, a lot of new Alien stuff coming out. And surprise next week. I got a surprise video coming out next week that I'm not telling anybody about except the people that are in it. That's it though. It's a big surprise, and that's about all I'm going to say about it. It's a franchise I've loved since I was a child.
Oh,
so I already got the first issue working on it, and it's coming out next week. So,
go check out ADG Productions, or I think it's ADG Comic Dubs now, isn't it?
Yeah. I decided just to go with the name. Like, I mean, there's no question about what I do, right? So since I can't go Dead Guy Productions anymore.
So there you go. Go check that out.
Thank you.
And so And then, yeah, guys, check out Andor. Apparently, according to Universal, 82 million people watched the first 3 episodes, like each, and 160 million people watched the next 3. So if they're all watching it, why the fuck aren't you? So anyway, guys, I have been Gilberts.
I've been Harry.
I'm still a dad guy.
And this has been the Fulcrum Entertainment Podcast. We will see you all next week. And as always, remember, we are all Fulcrum. Adios, everybody. Have a good day. Wait.